Welcome back. In Wake Up Epic, we are looking at the theme of competence today. And in competence, if you're not experiencing competence, where are you compromising your form, your attitude, your mindset? And if you are experiencing competence, how do you expand that to have a greater sense of bounteousness in your day and your life? In Wake Up Epic, we take movement and mobility and exercise and wrap it around specific themes so that you can have more joy and freedom to move forward with confidence in whatever it is you're up to. I'm Alex Iglesia. Let's begin. The 14th hexagram, or the 14th gene key, or the 14th human design gate starts with a yang, yang, yang. So we're forward, up, and wide. Forward, up, and wide. So from self, forward, up, and wide. So we're starting in a place in the world, active, with a sense of perspective. That's going to give us, by itself, a sense of being here, active, collaborative. So forward, up, and wide. In UZAZU, this is called mesh. We're fully enmeshed and engaged. And ideally, there's a sense of joy with that. From here, in the hexagram, we go from yang, yin, yang. So we go forward, down, wide. So we're going from mesh to field. From mesh to field. And again, that's still forward. From neutral, forward mesh, and a little bit back and down, wide. This space, this attitude here, this mind-body state, is a sense of easygoing, sensing, perspective. Just like you walk into a room, not that we're doing that much social gathering these days, but you walk into a room and you get the sense of what's going on. And that's a little bit different than walking into the room and really feeling fully active. So it's subtle. We're playing with one dimension difference here to go from fully active, engaged to fully present, but more sensing. So it's a bit more receptive. We've taken a little bit of a shift back. From here, let's look at what's going on. We need our back engaged. We need our hips in some flexion and some lateral mobility. We need shoulders to have their freedom in mobility and width and rib cage. And we'll be looking at 2 mobility drills, 1 movement pattern, and we'll come back to play with competence and the shadow of compromise in the city of bounteousness. So the 2 mobility drills, we'll start with your hip. Find some balance. If you need to touch something for support, do that. Lift one hip, lift one knee, and then start to swing the foot back and forth. Now do that as relaxed as you can, because you're already engaging your hip flexors, but now we want to free up the internal and external rotation. If it feels good, pick up the pace. You'll find a natural end range here. You don't need to make it go any bigger. It'll probably open up on its own just a little bit, and then switch. Find your balance. Make sure you're breathing. Lift it enough that you feel engaged but not stressed. And then start to swing the foot, pendulum it back and forth. Relax with the internal and external rotation of the hip and see if you can explore a greater range but without effort. Now already this has the attitude of starting in an engaged place and then coming into a more sensing perspective. So the 14, this competence energy, we want to bring it into every exercise that you do. Get into a position and then explore. Second round, flex the hip, abduct it just a bit, maybe 45 degrees or so. Find your balance. And again, pendulum a little left and right. Make sure you're breathing. By playing with your internal and external rotation, you're going to free up your hips mobility a lot. By playing with swinging it with a little bit more speed, you improve your resilience and your reactivity, which is going to be very important, not only for walking and running and doing anything athletic, but for what the move we're going to be exercising and challenging today. Switch legs, flex the hip, take it about 45 degrees out, find your balance, start to swing. What should you do with your other hands? Well, what's going to make you feel confident? What's going to let you breathe? Can you relax while really noticing what's going on in your body while exploring your range of motion? Okay, switch legs. One more round, this time taking the leg across the midline. It's not going to go nearly as far. Flex the leg. Before you went about 45 degrees out, you're going to go a few degrees in, just enough that you feel your inner thigh, and then pendulum swing. If it's easy to lift the knee higher, go ahead and do that. But once you've found an engaged place, you're good to go. Rest, switch legs, cross the midline a few degrees, enough to engage your inner thigh, and start to go internal and external. It would have been nice to do a little test before this to see the difference. Relax that leg. But you can do a test now afterwards. Step forward and step back. This is a little precursor to the challenge move today. But imagine walking through the world and you've got this reactivity in any direction. And your hips are now mobilized and ready to react. Your nervous system's activated and turned on. So you're ready actually and very prepared in your hips for a much more interesting movement. Let's do the same thing with shoulders. Take your arm out in front of you. Take it out about 45 degrees and draw a circle. Super, super simple. Similar move. And we'll add the internal and external rotation in just a moment. Change directions. So this is noticing how does the shoulder feel. Now, externally rotate the arm by turning your fist, your bicep up, and draw circles again. Change directions. Now this is a very simple move, right? But notice what else is going on. How's your stability? Are you breathing? Does this feel easy? Is this challenging? Take the arm internally rotated by turning the thumb down, bicep down. Now that may want to lift your shoulder, so don't go that far. Keep it down and draw circles. Starting in a fully engaged position and then adding a bit more receptivity to it. Change directions of that circle. You can apply the theme of confidence and the exploration of anywhere that you are compromising to any movement pattern there is. Relax that arm. Left, opposite arm up. Take it out about 45 degrees. Draw circles. Different shoulder. Your body has different patterns, tension patterns throughout. This might feel very different. Check out the way that you're, how your body is weighted on your 2 feet. Has that changed? Change directions. Is there any clicking here that wasn't on the first side? You want to keep noticing and exploring differences, not to over control anything, but to see where might you be compromising how you're taking care of your body. Let's stop. Externally rotate the arm, fist up, bicep up, draw circles. Breathe. One thing that's really fun to notice, I think, is the quality of your control here. Is it different? Change directions. So when you internally or externally rotate the shoulders and you compare different sides, it may feel more or less intelligent, like this arm is better at moving than the first one or not. And that's something that's very, very important. Notice, change the internal rotation now, not to the point where your shoulder lifts, to the point where it almost does, and draw circles. But one of the things we develop or gain by taking our joints toward an extreme range of motion, change directions, and then finding intelligence in the movement pattern is you create a lot of safety. Your brain knows how to get into the position and how to get out of it. So instead of avoiding something, your body knows how to get into it and out of it. And just like we do that with shame with our friends, with empathy, we can get into relax the arm, an emotional position with confidence to get in, and therefore we can come out. We develop a lot of confidence. Next, we're going to move the body in a more challenging way. By stepping forward, foot firmly planted on the ground, you gently lean into it and then come back out. This is not a full lunge. It's stepping in, feeling into it, and stepping back out. Now, this is actually a deep practice in confidence. So I'm going to give you a few extra rules this time. When you step forward, there's going to be a tendency to come into your toes and off the heel. I want you to press the entire foot down. Now, if you explore that for a moment, you let the knee come forward and the heel come off, and you're going to feel mostly in your quads. If you press into the earth with your heel, you're going to feel the entire leg, thighs, glutes engage. You're getting way more activation by pressing into the entire foot than if you were to lift your heel. Now, functionally speaking, when you take a step, you're always going heel, toe, and then back to toes, off with a heel. But in this position, in this exercise, I want you to keep exploring full engagement with sensitivity, and you're going to modulate that it's as full as you can be. So we're bringing in that sense of full-on mash with a deep sensitivity. The timer will have 1 minute, and you'll be alternating legs. And we'll do a few rounds of this. We'll do 3 total rounds so you can see how you can scale this. Let's begin for 1 minute. Step, fully engage, come back out. Step, fully engage, come back out. You can explore leaning forward, but focus on heel, full foot, and full leg engagement. What to do with your arms? For the most part, just gently reach. So your whole self has a forwardness to it, and then you come back. Focus on the sense of competence right now. Anywhere you're compromising, try to rein it in. Right, there's a bit of an instruction this time, a fairly specific one. Feel your whole foot and as much as your legs as you can. And rest. Pretty easy, right? So how do you scale this? 2 ways. One is adding the arms, and the second is adding the directions of movement. So what that look like is reaching arms while going off to different sides, or going across, or going out to the side, depending on which leg you start with. The entire room is free game. Height is free game, reaching down or reaching low. The point then is full engagement with deep listening, and let it be easy. Here we go, one round, begin. The practice of confidence here is keep enough attention in your foot and your legs that you feel your entire leg engaged to support you every step. If you reach your heel off the ground one time, notice that and check in. What caused that, and how do you change it right away? Rest. Okay, last round. Challenge yourself a little more in the range of motion and the reach, the sense of reach. Now, by challenging yourself in the range of motion, you're going to get to the edge where you want your heel to come off the ground. It's going to start to happen. By reaching more, you're going to be challenging your core and your back and your stability more. So take your time with it, be gentle, but explore the range in such a way that you can continually feel like you're fully engaged and you're more and more receptive to your own movement pattern. Here we go. Last minute. You can play with speed. If you want more challenge, you could always add a dumbbell or two with your arms. I'm going to keep bringing confidence into more directions of movement and see where you start to compromise and then wrap it up. Great job. Rest a moment. You can scale that to be more and more strength or more and more conditioning focused based on your speed, based on how much time you give, based on if you have some dumbbells. So the next few days, scale this, play with this, and whether it is your warm-up or it's your main movement for the day, you can really focus on your quality of competence and then bring that attitude and discipline into everything else you want. For our last piece, let's look at the shadow of compromise, that gift of competence and the city or the openness of bounteousness. We'll step back into mesh, stepping forward into the space with other, up and active, and wide for some perspective. And from there, drop down into field. Now that we've marked the movements of it, let's do it with the theme of competence. So let's acknowledge everywhere you have been competent that you might not have acknowledged. Will you be ready to start seeing that and noticing that? Mesh to field. Where have you been competent that you haven't been recognized? What competence has been important to you that you can see a little bit more of and appreciate more of today? Find a useful flow here from mesh down to field. Relax your mind and let yourself be more aware. Use these movements to become more aware of where this theme is in your life. And of course, we're going to run into a little bit of an edge there of how willing you've been to see that gift in your life and to see that in others. So let's drop down into the shadow of compromise. In the shadow state, it's like we're using this energy against ourselves. So where have you stepped into this world, become active and collaborative, but in a compromising way? You didn't listen to yourself fully. You weren't fully joyful. You didn't allow yourself to truly show up. Mesh to field. So where have you compromised? What have you compromised? And when we do this, the movement pattern will tend to start to feel not so good. We're mixing shadows, emotions we don't want to feel so much. We're mixing that with these movement patterns. So the game then is to be very gentle as you do mesh and field right now. Like you would iron a shirt that has some pretty intense wrinkles. We don't want to force anything. Be gentle, and yet have faith you're going to get those wrinkles taken care of. Mesh and field. Why have you compromised? That's going to be it for the shadow of the 14 today. So find a flow now. Less mind, more body. From that mesh to the field. With a bit of width across the board. Cycling back and forth from one to the other. Find your own flow now. An active engagement full on drops into an easygoing flow. Full engagement finds a flow. How can you fully engage today with your sense of flow? How can you surprise yourself? What competence wants to come through you today with your work and your play and your relationships? Okay, well done. Take a rest. Soft knees, soft arms, soft belly, eyes and breath. Take a moment to come into neutral. Let go of the practice, let go of the world. See if you can feel the echo of what you've done to cultivate the state of competence, the capacity for having competence. And how do you want to direct that today? What area, if there's an area of your life specifically, or what wisdom is coming to you more naturally right now with regards to competence? And let the passivity go. Scratch your arms. Create a bit of yin and yang together. Rub your hands. Thank you for participating in this epic workout and waking up epic today. I hope you enjoy your sense of competence as you play. Check out more practice videos here and have a fantastic day being yourself, being epic. Thanks for being epic.